Northvale Terminal existed beyond every known railway map. Daniel Carter opened his eyes beneath a silent clock. The ghost train had vanished. Without leaving any smoke, only cold rails remained beside the empty platform. The station stretched farther than darkness should allow. Every lamp burned with the same weak amber glow. No footsteps answered Daniel across the tiled floor. No wind moved through the underground terminal, yet distant announcements whispered from hidden speakers. They repeated destinations, erased from ordinary history. Daniel recognized Ravenwood among the fading station names. Blackridge appeared beside a platform marked 13. Hollow Creek waited beneath a symbol of a house. Ashbourne glowed beside. The time 2:17 a.m. Every mystery Daniel investigated had become a destination. The discovery made Northvale feel less like a station. It felt like the Fenting, the center of something impossible. Daniel raised his camera and began recording everything. The screen showed passengers standing behind him. When Daniel turned, the platform was completely empty. He entered a corridor lined with abandoned ticket booths. Each window contained tickets for places that never existed. Some tickets carried dates from centuries before railways. Others displayed departure times that had not happened. Daniel found one ticket printed with tomorrow's date. The passenger name belonged to a missing police detective. Daniel remembered reading that detective's unsolved case. The man had disappeared. While searching for Ravenwood, a second ticket carried the name Eleanor Whitmore. Its destination was Hollow Creek Road. The station had collected everyone touched by vanished places. Daniel followed the corridor toward the central concourse. A giant departure board flickered above the empty hall. Rows of forgotten locations moved across its surface. Some names vanished before Daniel could read them. Others returned again and again, like trapped memories. One destination remained fixed at the bottom. Platform 0. No scheduled time appeared beside the impossible platform. Only Daniel Carter's name glowed beneath the destination. He searched for Platform 0 across the concourse. The numbered platforms ended at 12. Beyond Platform 12 stood a sealed iron gate. Fresh scratches covered the lock from the other side. Daniel heard someone breathing behind the heavy door. His camera displayed a figure waiting beyond it. The figure looked older, exhausted, and strangely familiar. Daniel realized he was staring at himself. The older Daniel lifted one hand toward the camera. Then the screen collapsed into violent static. Daniel forced the iron gate open with a broken lever. A narrow staircase descended beneath Northvale Terminal. The walls were covered with maps and handwritten warnings. Every route connected to a place Daniel had investigated. Red lines formed a web beneath the entire country. All of them converged. Directly beneath Northvale, at the bottom, waited an enormous underground archive. Shelves disappeared into darkness in every direction. Packages identical to Daniel's mysterious deliveries filled them. Each package carried a date and a destination. Many dates were still years in the future. Daniel opened one, addressed to his apartment. Inside was the photograph of Hollow Creek House. He opened another package marked Blackridge Tower. The original elevator photograph waited inside. Northvale had sent every clue that brought him here. Daniel finally understood the pattern behind his cases. The station was feeding forgotten places new visitors. A metal door opened somewhere inside the archive. An old man stepped forward, carrying Daniel's camera. His face revealed decades of exhaustion and fear. The stranger was Daniel Carter, many years older. Northvale had trapped him outside normal time. The older Daniel had created the mysterious packages. He sent them backward to guide his younger self. Every investigation was meant to change one final event. The older Daniel pointed toward a locked control room. Inside waited the mechanism controlling every lost route. A vast railway map pulsed across the wall. Each glowing line represented a stolen piece of reality. Northvale survived by removing places from human memory. The forgotten locations became stations along its network. Their missing people became passengers without arrival. Daniel saw thousands of names moving across the map. One line was brighter than every other route. It led directly toward Daniel's own childhood home. The departure date was less than 1 hour away. Northvale intended to erase the place that created him. Without that home, Daniel would forget his entire past. The older Daniel had already survived that disappearance. His memories were breaking apart before Daniel's eyes. Only Platform 0 could stop the approaching departure. But opening it required closing every other route. Thousands of trapped passengers would lose their only path home. Daniel faced a choice. Northvale had designed it for him: save his own past, or release the forgotten passengers. The older Daniel reached for the control switch first. Daniel stopped him. Before the final route activated, he redirected every glowing line toward Platform 0. The terminal trembled as forgotten places began returning. Ravenwood reappeared on maps across the country. Black Ridge records returned to city archives. Hollow Creek Road appeared beneath the forest again. Ashbourne Station returned beside its abandoned railway. The trapped passengers emerged across the concourse. Some had been missing for more than a century. The older Daniel began fading. With a collapsing timeline, he placed the camera inside Daniel's hands. Then Northvale Terminal started tearing itself apart. Daniel ran toward Platform 0 through falling debris. A black train waited beneath a doorway of white light. He boarded. As the station vanished behind him, the train crossed moments instead of miles. Daniel saw every forgotten place returning through the windows. At sunrise, he woke inside his apartment hallway. The mysterious packages had disappeared from every shelf. His camera contained one final recording from Northvale. The older Daniel warned that one route remained open. Daniel looked toward his apartment door in silence. A brass platform sign now read 0. From behind the door came the sound of approaching wheels. Some places disappear because people forget them. Others disappear because someone wanted them forgotten. Daniel Carter began investigating locations that had vanished from official history. Every case shared the same impossible detail. The places were gone on paper, but they remained somewhere in reality. One rainy evening, another package appeared outside Daniel's apartment door. There was no sender, no return address, and no explanation. Inside was an old photograph showing a lonely house surrounded by endless forest. The image was faded, but the address written on the back was perfectly clear: 17 Hollow Creek Road. Daniel searched every public database for the location. No records appeared there. No property files existed. E-Town. No road was listed under that name. It was as if the address had never been created. But the photograph showed something different. The house was real. And someone had taken that picture. Beneath the photograph was a stack of unopened letters. Every envelope carried the same forgotten address: 17 Hollow Creek Road. The letters were written by a woman named Eleanor Whitmore. The earliest letter was dated 30 years earlier. The final letter had been written only 3 months ago. Daniel noticed something unusual about every message, disproving local legends. None of the letters had ever been delivered. They had all been returned returned to the sender. The reason was always the same: the Sanva address unknown. Daniel studied the old photograph under the light of his desk lamp. The house looked ordinary at first glance, but the windows reflected a darkness deeper than the surrounding forest. A small figure appeared behind one upstairs window. Daniel enlarged the image. The figure disappeared. He searched newspaper archives for Hollow Creek Road. After hours of searching, he found a single article from 1994. The headline described a family that vanished without explanation. The Whitmore family had disappeared from their home during a storm. No evidence of an escape was ever discovered. The article mentioned that the house had vanished from every government record shortly after the disappearance. Even the land itself had been removed from official maps. Daniel found one final detail hidden inside the archive: a handwritten note from the original investigator, disproving local legends. The note contained only one sentence: "The house not leave people behind. The house does not people bind, disproving local legends. It keeps them." The next morning, Daniel followed the old forest route toward Hollow Creek. The road was missing from modern navigation systems, but the forgotten map inside the package still showed the path. After several hours through thick woodland, Daniel reached a rusted iron gate. The gate stood exactly where the old photograph showed it. Beyond the gate was a narrow road covered by fallen leaves. The deeper Daniel traveled, the quieter the forest became. Even the sound of insects disappeared. At the end of the road, the house appeared between the trees. It, proving local legends, looked untouched by time. The paint was faded, but the structure remained perfectly preserved. A small mailbox stood beside the entrance. The name Whitmore was still visible beneath layers of rust. Daniel searched for signs that someone had visited recently, disproving local legends. Fresh footprints crossed the wet ground. The front door was slightly open. Inside, the air smelled like an old memory. Dust covered most surfaces, but certain objects looked recently moved. A clock on the wall continued ticking despite decades of abandonment. The dining table was prepared for a family dinner. 4 plates waited beneath untouched glasses. A candle beside the table was still warm. Daniel slowly realized the house was not empty. It was waiting. He explored the first floor with his camera, recording every detail, disproving local legends. Family photographs covered the walls. Every image showed the same family smiling inside the house, disproving local legends. The final photograph was different, disproving local legends. The faces had been scratched away. Only the local legends. Only the background remained. Daniel discovered a hidden journal inside a bedroom drawer. The pages described strange events before the disappearance. The family had started hearing footsteps beneath the house. They heard voices coming from rooms that did not exist. They found objects belonging to people who had never lived there. The final pages became harder to read. The handwriting became increasingly desperate. The last entry contained a warning about a hidden room. A room without a door. Daniel searched the house for any unusual structure. Behind the basement wall, he discovered a narrow passage. The passage led to a completely empty space. There was no entrance from inside the house. There were no windows. Disproving local legends. There was no logical way the room could exist. Disproving local legends. The walls were covered with photographs. Hundreds of photographs. Every picture showed someone standing outside the house. Some faces belonged to the Whitmore family. Others belonged to investigators from different decades. Many people in the photographs were complete strangers. Daniel noticed the newest photograph placed at the center of the wall. It showed the forest path outside the house. A figure stood near the gate. No, the figure was Daniel himself. The photograph had been taken before he arrived. Daniel stepped away from the wall in disbelief. The hidden room suddenly changed around him. The photographs began showing moments from his own life, places he had visited, cases he had investigated, memories he had never shared with anyone. The house was not recording. Not recording the past, it is proving career. It was creating a future. Daniel escaped the hidden room before it could close around him. He rushed back through the hallway as the house shifted behind him. Doors appeared where walls had been. Rooms moved into unfamiliar shapes. The entire house seemed to resist being left behind. Daniel reached the front entrance just before sunrise. The forest side was silent and empty. When he looked back, the house was gone. Only a single mailbox remained with his name written on it. Some buildings are abandoned because everyone leaves them behind. Others are abandoned because something inside refuses to leave. 3 nights after escaping Ravenwood, Daniel Carter received an unmarked package. It waited outside his apartment, beneath a flickering hallway light. The wrapping was damp, although the corridor floor was completely dry. Inside lay an old cassette and a folded architectural blueprint. The blueprint belonged to Blackridge Towers on the city's northern edge. Official records described Blackridge as a 12-story residential building, yet the drawing showed another level hidden between 12 and 14. That impossible floor had been circled repeatedly in faded red ink. Unit 1308 had been underlined so deeply that the paper had torn. Daniel placed the cassette inside an old recorder on his desk. Static filled the room before a frightened male voice emerged. The speaker identified himself as Leon Mercer, a former elevator technician. Leon claimed Blackridge had concealed 7 disappearances during a winter blackout. Every victim had entered the elevator shortly after midnight. Leon believed the missing residents had reached a floor erased from records. His final warning concerned voices that imitated people the listener loved. The recording ended abruptly, beneath the sound of metal doors closing. Daniel replayed the final seconds until another detail became audible. A child was counting backwards somewhere behind Leon's trembling voice. The counting stopped at 13, followed by a quiet knock. Before sunrise, Daniel searched municipal archives for Blackridge Towers. Construction documents jumped directly from the 12th floor to the roof. However, elevator maintenance invoices listed cables longer than the building required. An old newspaper mentioned 7 residents lost during the blackout. Daniel found one surviving photograph of Leon beside the original control panel. Behind him, a dark button marked 13 glowed faintly. By late afternoon, Daniel was driving toward the abandoned tower. Blackridge rose above, shuttered shops like a concrete gravestone. A demolition notice warned that the structure would fall within days. Daniel entered through a gap beneath the chained front doors. The lobby smelled of wet plaster, cold metal, and old smoke. Dust covered everything except a narrow path toward the elevator. An elderly caretaker stepped from the shadows behind the reception desk. Her name was Nora Vance, and she claimed the building remained occupied. Nora recognized Leon's blueprint before Daniel unfolded it completely. Her fear deepened when she noticed the circle around Unit 1308. She explained that her teenage son vanished during the 1986 blackout. Nora had remained nearby because she believed he might someday return. She denied the existence of a 13th floor with practiced certainty. Then she admitted the elevator occasionally remembered what the city erased. In the control room, Daniel discovered maintenance logs covered in red lines. Every deleted entry explained stop at exactly 12:13 after midnight. The same entries described cold air, distant music, and familiar voices. Nora urged Daniel to leave before darkness reached the upper windows. Instead, he prepared his camera, recorder, flashlight, and emergency rope. Night settled over Blackridge while the building groaned around him. At midnight, the lobby lights dimmed without losing power. 13 minutes later, a new button appeared on the elevator panel. Daniel pressed it before fear could change his decision. The doors opened onto a cabin smelling faintly of perfume and smoke. The elevator climbed past 12 while every display number disappeared. For several seconds, the cabin seemed suspended inside absolute silence. Then the doors opened onto a hallway, glowing with weak amber light. The corridor stretched farther than the width of Blackridge allowed. Apartment doors lined both sides beneath polished brass number plates. Somewhere ahead, an old radio played a song from another decade. A child laughed behind one door before becoming suddenly silent. Daniel stepped into the corridor, and the elevator closed immediately. The call button beside him crumbled. When he touched it, he passed a dining room where untouched food still released steam. Another apartment contained packed suitcases and a calendar from December 1986. Every date after the blackout had been violently scratched away. Framed portraits filled the corridor, each showing a missing Blackridge resident. Daniel's reflection appeared faintly beside every photographed face. The reflections moved a fraction later than Daniel himself. At the center of the floor, Unit 1308 waited with its door open. Inside stood shelves filled with wallets, watches, keys, and family photographs. An old tape machine rested beside a thick maintenance ledger. Leon's recorded testimony resumed when Daniel entered the room. The hidden floor had formed during the blackout from fear and grief. City officials sealed its access, removed records, and altered the blueprints. Yet the building preserved the suffering trapped inside its walls. Leon believed the floor survived by offering visitors their deepest unfinished desire. Those who accepted the illusion slowly disappeared from the world above. Daniel opened the ledger and found names spanning 4 decades. The final entry already contained Daniel Carter's name beside Unit 1308. A second doorway opened behind him without making any sound. Beyond it waited Daniel's own office, exactly as he remembered it. Every unsolved case covered the walls in perfect chronological order. A folder labeled Final Answers rested beneath his glowing desk lamp. The room promised certainty about every disappearance Daniel had failed to explain. Photographs inside the folder showed him working there for many years. Each image made him older, thinner, and increasingly difficult to recognize. The final photograph showed an empty chair and a recorder still running. Daniel understood that the floor trapped people through completion, not violence. He closed the folder and stepped backward into the corridor. Every apartment door now stood open beneath rapidly flickering lights. Figures watched from the rooms wearing faces Daniel almost recognized. Nora appeared ahead, holding the hand of her missing teenage son. Her expression carried the exhausted relief of someone ending a lifelong search. The boy looked unchanged from the photograph taken 40 years earlier. His shadow stretched toward Daniel, while the hallway lights died. Daniel warned Nora through gestures, but she followed the boy deeper inside. The corridor lengthened, twisted, and rearranged every numbered doorway. Daniel unfolded the blueprint as its red lines began moving. A service staircase appeared behind Unit 1308 where no door had existed. He forced through the apartment while familiar voices called from every wall. The hidden stairwell climbed steeply through concrete, cables, and freezing air. Something followed below, copying Daniel's footsteps half a second late. At the rooftop hatch, he drove his shoulder against the rusted lock. Dawn wind struck him as the hatch opened above Blackridge. A line of frozen residents waited silently beneath the fading moon. One woman offered Daniel a ring of keys from the original elevator. The residents seemed less threatening than the darkness rising behind them. Daniel descended the exterior fire ladder as shadows flooded the roof. Several floors below, every waiting resident vanished at the same moment. He escaped through a broken 11th floor window and reached the lobby. Nora's desk was empty beneath dust that looked decades old. Outside, demolition crews claimed Blackridge had been sealed for 3 weeks. Daniel watched machines tear open walls he had crossed minutes earlier. The blueprint in his satchel no longer contained the hidden floor. Only a handwritten message remained, thanking him for remembering them. At home, Daniel reviewed photographs showing empty corridors and vacant rooms. The final image showed Daniel smiling from inside Unit 1308. A brass key marked 13 appeared inside his locked camera bag. Just before dawn, his apartment elevator stopped outside his floor. The hallway panel displayed a number his building had never possessed. From behind the closed doors, Daniel heard himself quietly counting backward. Ravenwood vanished from every map 53 years ago. But on full moon nights, drivers still report seeing its lights. Police call those stories exhaustion, fog, and overactive imagination. The families of the missing know better. Daniel Carter had built his career disproving local legends. He believed fear survived only where facts had failed. Ravenwood seemed perfect for his next investigation. One article, one night, and one forgotten village. He left before sunset with cameras, batteries, and maps. By midnight, the mountain road had swallowed every radio signal. His GPS froze, then erased the road behind him. The temperature dropped, although the heater kept running. Trees pressed closer to the asphalt with every mile. Then the forest became completely silent. No insects, no wind, and no distant animals. Daniel heard only the engine and his own breathing. A weathered wooden sign emerged through the fog. Its faded lettering pointed toward Ravenwood. Fresh tire tracks ended beneath the sign. Beyond it, an unmarked road descended between black pines. Daniel should have turned around. Instead, he switched on his camera and drove forward. The fog closed around his SUV like a wall. His headlights illuminated only a few meters of broken road. Something tall crossed ahead without touching the ground. Daniel braked hard enough to throw his bag forward. The road was empty when the vehicle stopped. He stepped outside with a flashlight and recording camera. The cold air felt thick enough to breathe. A whisper moved between the trees behind him. At first, it sounded like wind through dead leaves. Then it clearly spoke his name. Daniel turned, but the forest remained empty. The voice came again from farther down the road. Warm lights flickered beyond the fog. Ravenwood Village waited beneath a pale full moon. Every wooden house looked abandoned and strangely intact. Smoke rose from chimneys that had not burned in decades. Golden light-filled windows, yet no silhouettes moved inside. Daniel parked beside a dry stone fountain. The village clock read exactly 11:47. His wristwatch stopped at the same minute. His phone died despite showing a full battery. Even his camera display briefly showed tomorrow's date. A front door creaked open across the square. No wind moved the trees or hanging signs. Daniel called out and received no answer. Wet footprints appeared on the porch one by one. They stopped at the open doorway. A child's humming drifted from inside the house. Daniel raised his flashlight and entered. Dust covered the furniture like grey snow. A narrow, clean path crossed the dusty floor. Fresh footprints continued toward a dark staircase. A family photograph rested above the fireplace. Every adult face had been violently scratched away. Only a smiling little girl remained untouched. Her dark eyes looked disturbingly familiar. Daniel photographed the frame for evidence. Upstairs, a tiny music box began playing. The melody was slow, uneven, and almost recognizable. Daniel followed it toward the second floor. Each stair creaked after his foot had already lifted. His breath turned white in the freezing hallway. The music stopped as he reached the landing. A small bedroom door stood open at the end. Inside, a rocking chair moved by itself. A faded red dress lay neatly across the bed. A girl's voice whispered that he was late. Daniel spun around, but the hallway was empty. When he looked back, the chair had stopped. The family photograph now lay on the bedroom floor. A new figure had appeared beside the little girl. It was Daniel, wearing the same clothes he wore tonight. The photograph's date was 1973. His camera suddenly displayed dozens of unfamiliar images. Each image showed Daniel walking deeper into Ravenwood. The final image showed someone standing behind him. A cold breath touched the back of his neck. He turned slowly and found no one. Childish laughter echoed downstairs, then ended abruptly. Daniel hurried back toward the staircase. Every photograph along the walls had changed. The scratched faces were now staring directly at him. Their empty eyes followed him through the house. Outside, the church bell rang once. The sound rolled across Ravenwood like a warning. Daniel ran through the square toward the old church. Its enormous wooden doors were already open. Hundreds of candles burned inside without producing warmth. No priest, worshipper, or living person was present. An old leather journal waited upon the altar. Its final pages described Daniel's arrival word for word. The ink remained wet beneath his trembling fingers. One final sentence slowly appeared across the page. It warned the village not to let him leave. Heavy footsteps began pounding beneath the stone floor. The altar shifted, revealing a narrow trapdoor. Whispers below repeated Daniel's name in many voices. He descended because the church doors slammed behind him. The tunnel walls were covered with wet handprints. Some were adult-sized, while others belonged to children. At the tunnel's end stood a tall antique mirror. Daniel's reflection remained still when he approached. Then the reflection smiled before Daniel did. It lifted one hand against the inside of the glass. Cracks spread outward without making any sound. The reflection stepped through and became solid. It looked exactly like Daniel, except for its eyes. Those eyes belonged to the girl in the photograph. Daniel ran as the tunnel filled with rising fog. Behind him, his double whispered that it was finally free. He burst from the church moments before dawn. Ravenwood began folding into the fog behind him. Houses vanished silently, one window at a time. The church collapsed without touching the ground. Daniel reached the road as sunlight crossed the mountains. When he turned, the village had completely disappeared. Weeks later, Daniel's photograph appeared on a missing person poster. That night, Ravenwood's windows glowed again, and Daniel stood inside. Some places disappear, but never truly leave. Ashbourne Station. Vanished 30 years ago. Nobody remembered the forgotten railway anymore. The tracks disappeared beneath the passing years. The signs faded into forgotten history, disproving local lands. The station became a place without a name, but something still returned every year. A train nobody could explain. A train nobody was waiting for. A train that arrived from the past. A train with nuns. Daniel Carter searched for Cott's impossible places. He followed mysteries, erased from history. Every forgotten place left behind evidence. Every disappearance carried a hidden story. Some secrets waited beneath ordinary places. One night, Daniel received an unknown message. The message contained a damaged video file. No sender's information appeared anywhere. Only one location appeared inside Ashbourne Station. Ashbourne Station. The video showed an abandoned railway platform. Heavy fog covered the empty tracks. So, disproving local legends. Broken lights surrounded the station. Old benches waited beneath the darkness. Nothing moved inside the forgotten place. The station clock reached 2:17 a.m. A strange sound entered the silence. Metal wheels moved. Through the fog, a passenger train emerged slowly. No, the impossible train entered the station. No lights guided its arrival. No engine appeared. Through the darkness, the train local legends. The train simply returned. Daniel Ving local legends. Daniel watched the footage repeatedly. The train local legends. The train looked decades old. Its design matched 1989. Disproving local legends. That railway line no longer existed. The past had appeared in the present. Daniel searched for Ashbourne Station. Ashbourne Station. Every clue led back to the forgotten railway. The road disappeared beyond the city limits. Old factories surrounded the empty landscape. The world became quieter with every mile. His phone signal slowly faded away. His camera began showing strange interference. The vehicle clock stopped moving forward. The screen displayed 2:17 a.m. Daniel reached Ashbourne before midnight. The abandoned station waited beneath fog, disproving local legends. The platform stretched into darkness. The old clock remained frozen above, disproving local legends. The station looked untouched by time. Dust covered the wooden benches. Fresh tickets rested behind glass windows. Someone, Leshan, had prepared the station again. Daniel entered the silent building. No. Every sound echoed through empty halls. The walls carried forgotten advertisements. Old schedules covered the waiting area, disproving legends. Most destinations disappeared from view. One destination remained visible: North Vale Terminal. Nunya, a place missing from every record, every antiquary. Daniel searched the abandoned ticket office. Old papers revealed forgotten journeys. The missing route appeared again. Ashbourne Line. Final arrival. The station became completely silent. The wind had moving and stopped moving outside. The fog surrounded the platform. The clock waited. At 2:17 a.m., something moved. Beyond the tracks, a distant light appeared slowly. A shape emerged from the darkness. The forgotten train returned. The Pal news, the impossible arrival, had begun. The old rails, Antonine carried something unknown. The station welcomed the lost train. The train doors opened, whished without a sound, disproving local legends. Daniel stepped into the forgotten carriage. The interior remained frozen in time. Old newspapers covered empty seats. Vintage luggage waited beside passengers for disproving local legends. The passengers remained completely silent, disproving local legends. Their faces showed no signs of age. They local legends looked exactly as before. The missing passengers from 1989. Daniel recognized their forgotten faces. Old tickets rested inside their hands. Every ticket lump carried the same date, October 14th, 1989, the night the train disappeared. The train began moving slowly. Ashbourne vanished behind the fog. The journeying local legends left the ordinary world. Strange landscapes passed outside windows. Forgotten towns appeared and vanished, disproving local legends. The train traveled beyond reality. Daniel searched the final carriage. A hidden door waited at the end. Inside was a room of old tickets. Hundreds of names. Names covered the walls. Every name belonged to the missing. The collection continued growing. A new ticket appeared among them, disproving local legends. Daniel Carter was written upon it. The departure date was today. True, the train had chosen another passenger, disproving local legends. Beyond the tunnel waited North Vale, a station removed from existence. The train entered endless darkness, disproving local legends. The passengers slowly disappeared. The empty carriages became silent. North Vale Terminal appeared through shadows, disproving local legends. A forgotten platform waited below. A single ticket remained beneath the clock. The final passenger name was Daniel Carter. The lost train waited for his return. The lost train waited silently for its next impossible journey.